This is what I made for a ladies' luncheon as a personal chef. My client invited over 4 of her friends for a little luncheon and she wanted something very light. She requested 2 of her favorites, which are the salmon crudo with yuzu soy and caviar, and some good old classic summer tomato gazpacho. For the yuzu soy, I combined 75 grams of low sodium soy sauce because that's what they like, 25 grams of mirin, 25 grams of rice vinegar, 20 grams of yuzu, 20 grams of sesame oil, and 50 grams of sugar. If you like it less sweet, definitely use less. Give that a mix and let it get cold in the fridge. I had some white bread left over from the toast points that we used for caviar, so I turned those into little croutons for the gazpacho. Every week before we get our shipment from the farmer's market, I'll take all of the old heirloom and cherry tomatoes and freeze them so that they don't go bad, which makes them perfect to make gazpacho with. Into the blender, I add the tomatoes, cucumbers. One of my clients can't have peppers, but the one that can request the gazpacho, so I threw them in. Red onions, and let that blend until as smooth as possible. Season with a nice quality sherry vinegar for acidity and the nice sweet fruitiness that sherry vinegar has, olive oil to smooth it all out, and to give it a nice rich mouthfeel, and of course salt. Making gazpacho is always a balancing act, depending on how sweet or sour your tomatoes are. You're going to have to add a bit more vinegar or sugar to match the flavor you want. My clients like it pretty sweet, but also with enough acidity to make it refreshing on a hot summer day. Then put it into a container, give it a final taste, and throw it into the freezer to keep cold. For the salmon crudo, I cube avocados as nicely as I can, season with lemon juice and a bit of salt. I grabbed some dry aged Ora King salmon from the best dry aged fish store in Los Angeles, The Joint. The last time I brought up dry aging, I had a few people talk about how fishy it must be, or why would you dry age a fresh piece of fish, but dry aged fish has no fishiness in smell or flavor, even less than freshly caught fish. It's pretty cool. After dry aging, you're left with a more richer, fattier, and flavorful fish. If you want more info, you can hit up The Joint. They'll be able to explain it way better than I can. Cleaned it up, cubed them into small pieces. I seasoned it with a little bit of the yuzu soy, but not too much since it will be served with more in the final bowl. And here are my chives. Prep is all done and the ladies have arrived, so I get ready to plate. I spoon the gazpacho into chilled bowls, spoon some nice Spanish olive oil on top, a few croutons, chives, and that's their starter. While they're enjoying the soup, I plate their crudo. Into ring molds, start off with the cubed avocados, crispy fried shallots, then I drain the excess liquid from the marinated salmon, spoon the salmon on top, then a thin layer of caviar. Spoon some more of the yuzu soy into the bowl, some chives, remove the ring, and served with fried wonton chips. Just a nice light lunch for ladies. This is what I made as a personal chef in Beverly Hills. My clients are having their family over for dinner tonight, and the menu is caviar pie to start, barbecue ribs, and for dessert, their favorite, pavlova. I know, they always have pavlova. But it's their grandson's favorite dessert, so we always have it when they come by. By the way, there will be 11 guests tonight. The ribs were going to take the longest, so that was the first thing I prepped. I only really remove the membranes if they have a thick one. If it's a really thin one that just shreds when I try to remove it, I'll usually just leave it alone. Then I just heavily season the ribs with this rib rub that my client ordered. Honestly, the stuff is pretty good. It's got brown sugar, salt, pepper, smoked paprika, garlic powder, and onion powder. I liberally spread it all over the ribs, and this time I took some notes from you guys in the comments. Wrap in parchment paper before wrapping in foil to prevent the aluminum from leaching into the food, and a few knobs of butter before completely wrapping them. And then into the oven at 250 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 to 4 hours, until they're borderline falling apart. My clients prefer them meltingly soft. As some of you guys know, their secret family recipe for their baked beans specifically requires bushes. This was actually one of the first family recipes that they taught me. Ketchup, yellow mustard, brown sugar, and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. For the cornbread, I usually just use the recipe from Chef's Staff. It's honestly so good. I melt down the butter, throw in a bunch of corn, cook until the butter is browned and the corn is slightly caramelized. Blend until smooth because no one likes kernels of corn in their cornbread, then blend in the milk, cream, and eggs. Sift and combine all the dry ingredients, cornmeal, sugar, baking powder, and AP flour before adding in the wet ingredients and folding together. I did receive a new cornbread recipe from a fellow chef friend, so I'll probably try out that one next time. They asked for a potato salad, so I boiled these russet potatoes whole so that they absorb a lot less water, peeled them with a knife, cubed them up, and tossed them in the dressing, which had mayo, fresh dill, chives, chopped sweet pickles, vinegar, Dijon mustard, and whole grain mustard. Slightly sweet, tangy, creamy, and herby. I love potato salad. I buttered and floured some muffin tins to prevent the cornbread from sticking, scooped the batter, and baked it until golden brown. And I had to taste one, of course. After about 3 hours, I pulled the ribs out of the oven and let them cool. Since they are at the brink of falling apart, I did have to chill them before cutting because otherwise I'd be left with pulled pork. And the return of the infamous caviar pie. I wanted to clarify something about it. Some people thought it was like a sweet pie or had a crust on the bottom, but it is neither sweet nor does it have a crust on the bottom. They call it caviar pie, but it's more of a fancy 5-layer dip situation with all the tasty things that go well with caviar. With the ribs cool enough to cut, I portioned them into 4 boners and slathered them with their favorite barbecue sauce and into the oven at a very high heat to caramelize the barbecue sauce. Then I finished the dessert before the guests arrived so I wouldn't be rushing later on. Baked meringue layer on the bottom, freshly whipped, gently sweetened vanilla cream, tons of farmer's market berries, second layer of baked meringue, more whipped cream, and a lot more berries. How can you hate it? There's a reason why they always request it. It's delicious. Their guests have arrived, so I slice the caviar pie, throw them on the plates with Cars crackers, and off they go. While they snack on their caviar pie, I start plating their mains. Hot plates, I put the potato salad and ramekin along with the baked beans, the cornbread, honey butter, lots of ribs, and it's time to serve. I add the final touches on the pavlova, cut them all nice thick pieces, and that's dinner. Time to clean and go home. Thank God it's Friday. This is what I made as a personal chef in Beverly Hills. As some of you guys know, we get weekly shipments from the Santa Monica Farmers Market every Wednesday, and we don't get to choose what arrives. Most of the stuff we get, my clients enjoy, but string beans are not their favorite. But since we do get them pretty often, I found that they enjoy them most when they're cut up into little rings. And of course, sugar snap peas. When they're in season, we get them every week. Luckily, they like them either simply steamed or just quickly sauteed. One of my clients also really enjoys steamed broccoli, while the other prefers roasted, so I make sure to always cook them both ways. Today's lunch request was salmon, so I seasoned them up with the Fiesta rib rub, avocado oil, and fresh garlic. They've actually been really liking the rib rub on fish. I loved reading all the comments on Fiesta spices. I've never heard of them before, but they seem to have a lot of fans. I know this is gonna ruffle some feathers. We get artichokes from the farmer's market, but they do not like the work involved with eating the leaves or even halved. So I steam them, remove the leaves, the choke, quarter the hearts, and I roast them until they get super crispy. This they absolutely love, but sadly there is a lot of waste. For the veg medley, I start off by sauteing some zucchini slices since they take the longest. Once they get some color, throw in the sugar snap peas and then the little rings of string beans. I give them a quick hard saute just to take the raw edge off and season with this ginger garlic scallion sauce. They didn't want carbs today, so I used cauliflower rice instead, which I gave a quick saute, seasoned with salt and the rest of that ginger garlic scallion sauce. As everything is finishing up, I throw my salmon on the grill and get that skin nice and crispy. I like to get my grill ripping hot, and I cook the salmon skin down on the top rack so that it has time to render and crisp up without being absolutely scorched. Then a quick flash on the flesh side to give it that char flavor, and it's ready to serve. To plate, I add the crispy roasted artichoke hearts, steamed broccoli, the sauteed vegetable medley, cauliflower rice, and then the grilled salmon. And of course, a touch of lemon juice just to brighten up all those vegetables. By the way, proteins should always be presented skin side up. If it's skin side down, it means they're hiding something. A carbless, light, healthy, simple lunch with lots of fiber. This is a busy day as a personal chef. My clients are having guests tonight, a total of 7 guests, 6 adults and 1 child. I start off by unloading my groceries from the market and wash the vegetables that I'll be using today. One of my clients wanted a cheeseburger for lunch, while the other wanted a mushroom and cheese omelet. Usually when we have guests for dinner, they'll just have fried eggs and toast, but they were feeling a little hungrier today. To go alongside the burger, he requested sweet potato fries. These are Japanese white sweet potatoes, and I like these for fries because they're starchy while still being very sweet, and they hold up well when baked or fried. I cut them into sticks and gave them a rinse to remove some of the exterior starch. This will help them crisp up a little bit more, although I'll be baking these, which don't create the most crispiest fries, but it is healthier. I toss them in avocado oil and salt, then put them onto a sheet pan, making sure there's airflow between the sweet potatoes that they brown evenly. For her mushroom omelet, she likes 3 egg whites and 1 yolk, so I saved those 2 egg yolks for my lunch. I got some white button and cremini mushroom, which are the 2 most basic mushrooms, but sometimes you just want that basic mushroom flavor and texture. So when it comes to white button and cremini mushrooms, I always wash them to remove the dirt. Even when I was running restaurants and hotels, I would have my cooks wash them. If I had someone brush them clean, it would cost me 20 plus bucks an hour to have a cook meticulously clean $15 worth of mushrooms. It's kinda silly. Plus, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Just cook them a little longer to evaporate the water and then brown. You'll be fine. Now, fancy mushrooms like chanterelles, lobster mushrooms, or matsutakes, I would definitely brush clean. I cut the mushrooms up, throw them into a pan, and just let them cook until all the water evaporates. Then once they start browning, just a knob of butter and some garlic confit that I made the day before. For their burger, I simply season generously with kosher salt. My client really seems to enjoy these simple, extra large potato buns from Pavilions, more than brioche. He's also been enjoying mashed avocados, so I mashed them up and seasoned with a little touch of salt. It's about 12:50 p.m., so that gives me 25 minutes to serve them their lunch. I heat up the sauteed garlicky mushrooms and then add the scrambled eggs. There's enough fat in the mushroom that I didn't need to add any more. While that's cooking, I start toasting the buttered buns to get them golden brown and soft. Flip the eggs, add lots of Sargento cheddar cheese, and set aside to slowly finish cooking and melting. Quickly char the burger, cook them to a juicy, perfect medium rare, and melt cheddar cheese on top. He likes his burger simple with ketchup, yellow mustard, avocado mash, and the sweet potato fries on the side. And that's lunch. After I finish serving them lunch, I have about 4 hours to prepare dinner. To start prepping for the dinner, I prep their favorite crusty roasted potatoes. It's so simple and easy, but it gets rave reviews every time. I peel the potatoes, cut one of them into sticks, because we have a young lady dining with us tonight and she requested chicken tenders and french fries, which I happily obliged. I cubed the rest and gave them a nice rinse. The method I use for the potatoes is something I learned from Kenji. I throw the potatoes into cold water with salt, rosemary, and thyme, cook them until they are borderline falling apart. I don't really boil them. I put them at a gentle simmer as to not break the potatoes up, but I do want them to basically collapse if I try to squeeze them. I drain them, put them onto a sheet pan, and throw them into the freezer to set so they don't completely fall apart when I toss them. This will also help create a very crispy, fluffy potato. I picked up some branzino from Whole Foods and asked them to scale and gut them. There were so many scales that I just had to go back and scale them myself. I honestly hate scaling fish. They just get everywhere and stick to everything. Then I went back and broke those down, this time seasoned simply with kosher salt. I parboiled the potato fries for the young lady separately and threw them into the freezer as well. I sliced long pieces from the chicken breast for the tenders, seasoned with just a little salt, and I added milk and some cornichon liquid since I didn't have any buttermilk, and let that brine in the fridge. One of the guests' favorite veg is broccolini, so I broke those down, blanched them in boiling salted salted water and shock them so that they retain their color, and also to make the pickup time super quick when it's time for service. And as you know, one of my clients prefer steamed broccoli, so I did those as well. I always like to have at least 2 to 3 kinds of vegetables, so I broke down some cauliflower, gave them a rinse to remove any bugs, dried and tossed with olive oil and this adobo seasoning that contains garlic, turmeric, black pepper, and oregano. She requested a smoked salmon toast canapé, so I cut some rectangles of sourdough bread, squeezed some olive oil on top, and threw them into the oven to toast. With about an hour until guests arrive, I pull out the frozen potatoes, toss with olive oil, and give it a real rough mixing. I want the outer layers of those frozen potatoes to start coming off and coat the outside of all the potatoes. Since they're frozen, they stay nice and whole as they start coating themselves like this. These will turn into beautiful, crispy, mashed potato coated roasted potatoes. Thrown into the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit convection until golden brown, fluffy, and crispy. I prepare the young lady's chicken tenders by adding in an egg with some more seasoning into the brine, then coating them in Wonder flour seasoned with Fiesta rib rub and baking powder. If you don't know, Wonder flour is flour that has been pre-cooked and dried out. Very fine and has less protein, so it doesn't clump and creates a nicer, lighter, crispy crust. I always make sure to really push the meat into the seasoned flour to make sure it's completely coated. The guests have started to arrive, so I prepared the canapes by spreading some labna, which is a strained thick yogurt, generous pieces of smoked salmon, little dollops of caviar, and chives. Just a small simple bite. Then I jumped on grilling the broccolini and branzino while I started to plate their mains. I plated the chicken tenders with fries and an avocado roast first, then finished the mains for the adults. The roasted potatoes, roasted cauliflower, grilled broccolini with a dash of red wine vinegar, grilled branzino, and off they go. Overall, a pretty easy night. The young lady said that the chicken tenders was the best meal that she had ever had in the household, so that was nice. Although I don't know what that says about my cooking. This is what I made for a light dinner as a personal chef. One big difference between being a restaurant chef and being a personal chef is that when you're a restaurant chef, you usually prioritize maximum flavor through fats, sweeteners, acid, texture, sauces, or whatever it is. But as a personal chef, a lot of times nutrition and dietary needs become a much larger priority. We have recently started moving towards foods that are easier on blood sugar. So more simply roasted or steamed vegetables, less bread, rice, potatoes, and of course sugar. These restrictions can make it pretty difficult to keep the food exciting, but we gotta do what we gotta do. I like to rinse quinoa because I find that some brands can be a bit bitter if you don't, so if you've ever noticed that your quinoa has been coming out bitter, try washing it next time. I drain it and cook it with chicken stock for extra added protein for my clients and of course for flavor. And I use the finger method for quinoa as well. Brought up to a boil and into the oven to cook. These are blue shrimp. I usually cook colossal shrimps for them, but we've decided to change it up a bit. Blue shrimp are extremely sweet, slightly firm, and these are specifically farmed so that they can be eaten raw as well. I actually ended up popping off their heads because I thought they wouldn't enjoy them, but after asking them, they told me that they love the heads. So next time I'll remember to leave them on. I cleaned their poop shoots, seasoned them with some smoked paprika, salt, and onion powder. Then marinated them in a garlic olive oil. Once the quinoa finished cooking and steaming, I threw it into a bowl to flavor it up a bit more, but decided against it. The quinoa already had a nice nutty flavor, and I decided to keep it as a neutral base. A lot of times, I just need to find ways to use small amounts of random vegetables that we have laying around. My clients usually only like the tips of the asparagus, so just like the green beans in a prior video, I decided to cut them into circles so that they can enjoy the stalks as well. And I also diced a lone green zucchini that was hanging around in the fridge. I gently sauteed the zucchini for a bit, and once they're halfway cooked, I throw in the asparagus tips. Cook that for a little bit, and then finally the asparagus stalk rounds. When you're cooking a multitude of vegetables in one pan, I always start with the vegetables that take the longest to cook and go from there. Season simply with some salt, then I threw some cherry tomatoes just to gently warm them through. And right at the end, a bit of crushed garlic just to quickly toast and toss. Who doesn't love garlicky vegetables? Once it's dinner time, I hard char the shrimp along with their heads, making sure not to overcook them. The last thing you want to do to these beautiful blue shrimp is turn them into rubber. To plate, I spoon some of that quinoa on the bottom, a good amount of that garlicky vegetable medley with warm tomatoes, the grilled shrimp with a healthy squeeze of fresh lemon juice, then the heads, and off they go. A light, healthy, low glycemic dinner.